to part 3 of the Fireman Sam, Gruffalo and Peppapig story. This is the part called Fireman Sam Gets Radicalised. Fireman Sam smelled the terrible breath before he recognised the terrible tusks and terrible claws and the terrible teeth in the terrible jaws. Even though the creature in front of him was wearing an ill-fitting black suit, white shirt and black tie, Fireman Sam knew he was staring into the jaws of the personification of fear. But because he was a legendary hero, he didn't feel quite as frightened as he expected to be. So instead of turning into a shaking, shivering wreck, he stretched out his hand and shook the clawed paw of the Gruffalo. "Ah, Mr.
Purple,"
said the Gruffalo.
"Mr. Purple."
How about if I'm Mr. Purple? That sounds good to me. I'll be Mr. Purple.
You're not Mr. Purple. Some guy on some other job is Mr. Purple. You're Mr. Pink.
"Mr. Purple, won't you come into my office and let's see what we can do for you?"
"Lead the way, Fireman Sam,"
said the Gruffalo.
"But in actual fact, it's not about what you can do for me. It's what I can do for you."
Fireman Sam led the Gruffalo into his office and they both sat down on either side of Fireman Sam's desk. The Gruffalo flipped open the case of his small laptop, took the clipboard out of his briefcase and clicked the pen in his breast pocket.
"Fireman Sam,"
he said, then paused.
"May I call you Sam?"
"By all means," said Fireman Sam. The Gruffalo paused. He knew that sometimes silence can be far worse than anything actually said, and so he paused for just a little bit longer than necessary, waiting for Fireman Sam to say something, or at the very least begin to fidget. But Fireman Sam sat perfectly still, waiting for the Gruffalo to carry on. The Gruffalo didn't mention it, but in private he knew that he was in the presence of a real hero. Most people would have crumbled by now, except for the mouse, of course, but thankfully that frightening creature was still roaming around the deep dark wood far away from here. Instead, he cleared his throat and said,
"Look, I'll keep it brief. Our subscribers have quite short attention spans. I have been sent by Peppapig to ask you if you'd like to join our little group, our club, our gang. Not really sure what it is yet exactly, but would you like to join with us? Basically, Sam, I'm about to make you an offer you can't refuse."
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Fireman Sam looked momentarily confused. He sat back in his seat and, taking his helmet off, scratched his head. "Well, I did not see that coming," he said. "I guess I have to ask, why me?"
Well, Sam,"
said the Gruffalo.
"the Lovely Place channel began as a result of our anonymous narrator losing their job, having some time on their hands, and attempting to break into content creating. Who knows what's going on in their tiny human brain, but for some reason they think that a hero like you might come in useful. I suspect," he went on, "that it has a lot to do with your name. Lovely Place has read 6 stories from your series, got a few new subscribers and thousands of views, and thought you showed promise. Whether you continue to measure up to their exacting standards, whatever those might be, I have no idea. What I do know is that after making numerous videos about all sorts of things, the Lovely Place read some children's stories and started to get a small but faithful following. So I would suggest that instead of asking, 'Why me?' ask yourself, 'Why not me?' Personally speaking,
went on the Gruffalo.
I was only the star of one extremely successful book by Julia Donaldson and one slightly less successful sequel, which was mostly about my daughter. As for Peppapig, well, she's the franchise that just keeps on going. But she's getting old, and she feels like she has so much more to give. Let's face it, when did you last feature in the life of a small child? Or have you just drifted into the nostalgic memory of a millennial? I've no doubt that you may have inspired Sir Terry Pratchett to create Corporal Carrot Ironfountain, but there's no actual proof that this is the case. So wouldn't you like to be remembered for something that you don't even know is going to happen? Just imagine the possibilities.
Fireman Sam looked sceptical. The Gruffalo continued.
Look, Sam, there's no such thing as a completely original idea anymore. All I know is the Lovely Place channel has a story they want to tell, and for some reason, they think we can help with this. But what do I know?
But what about my job here?
Said
the Gruffalo.
You can still do your job here. Think of this as a hero-in-waiting kind of role. Just carry on as you are, no need to tell anyone, or do anything different to what you're doing now. But be ready for when we give you the call.
Okay, said Sam.
Really?
Said the Gruffalo.
You're good to go?
Yup, said Sam.
Okay, cool. Right, well, thanks. I'll best be getting back then.
Yup, said Sam.
Okay, goodbye then, and, see you sometime.
Sure, said Sam. The Gruffalo stood up, shook the proffered hand, and saw himself out. Sam watched him leave from behind the blinds in his office. He wasn't quite sure what he'd agreed to, except that he hadn't yet agreed to anything, just that he'd answer when he got the call. So he resolved to cross that bridge when, or if, it ever happened. And with a shrug of his shoulders, Sam gathered up all the policies he had on his desk, opened the flip top on his bin, and threw them all in. And that, my friends, is the story of how Fireman Sam agreed to join with the Gruffalo and Peppapig to go on their quest, adventure, odyssey/legend, whatever it may be, because basically he was a man that hadn't yet learned how to say no. To find out what happened next, please stay tuned to the Lovely Place channel by subscribing to the channel. It's absolutely free. The channel of no niches, no technical ability, no clue. Thanks very much, and bye for now.